giving you the real from A to Z surrounding the Dallas Cowboys. News, updates, rumors, transactions, takes, and more. So strap up, Cowboys Nation, and start your day off with A to Z Sports. Live with Will Steele.
3, 2, 1.
Here we go!
Good morning, good people. Happy Tuesday, and welcome to A to Z Sports Live, presented by Underdog Fantasy and the Cochran Firm. I am your host, Will Skywalker Steele. Boom! Coming up today, we know this this offense is going to look different. So what I wanted to do was look at how can the Cowboys find success with this offensive look, this new offensive look, this different line. You got injuries, you got rookies, you got different wide receivers. So guess what we finna do today, Cowboys Nation? We jumping back into the film room live. We're going to take a look at some plays that I believe work for the Dallas Cowboys and has worked for the Dallas Cowboys last year, and we'll do a bit of a upon further review type of situation. We used to do this last year on Tuesdays, but I wanted to bring it back today because we got a new look O-line. We'll talk about what the projected O-line looks like, and we'll see how you feel about it, by the way. And we'll take a look on how we can capitalize with this quote unquote younger offensive line, because that's what it is, right? There's a youth movement going on. And we got to see how it looks, man. You know what I'm saying? So, with that said, man, shout out to the Bomb Squad.
Bomb Squad!
I see y'all in the building already. If you want, you guys can call into the show. Give me your thoughts on everything we'll talk about today. 351-999-3787. I fear saying this because it never holds up, but that really is the show today, so I don't foresee it being long. What's good, Jay, Darren Dunn, Danny Savage, King Element, TC915, Manny, David Jenkins, Lemitra, CJ Richards, what up? Mark Quinn, Captain America, how does it, sir? Gregory, Chuck P, Sir APD, 681, Boise Knicks, Joey Vela, Mark Smith, T-Mac. And by the way, we'll get to the Underdog Fantasy situation here soon. But we are getting close to hitting that group for the Fantasy League, by the way, which is this Friday. So I know T-Mac is in there. I know Danny is in there. I think Khalil was in there. We got a few that I know. Tom is in there. Tom Nutson, not Tom Downey burner account. So if y'all want to join that, I'll have information on doing so later on in the show. But easy, Underdog Fantasy A to Z promo code. Who else? Yeah, there goes Toxic Tom Downey. Sully, William Thomas, T-Mo, what's up, T-Mo? Adam Robbins, Big Sarge, VI. Whose birthday? Happy 53 day. Because I see bro in here. What's up, Lee? Happy birthday, Jack. Jack who? Who's Jack? Let me find you, Jack. I don't see a Jack. Well, y'all saying happy birthday in the chat to a Jack. So, hey, man, happy birthday to Jack. Let me give him a
Bomb Squad!
Jack Bynum. Okay, all right. Happy birthday, Jack Bynum. I hope it's a good day for you and your family, sir. Every day that you're allowed to go one more year around this world, you deserve a day. So shout out to you, Jack Bynum. And I think that's about it right now for those that have coming in. We're almost at 200 deep total, so y'all make sure y'all keep it locked. We got a good show lined up for you. If my audio is great, if everything looks good, then I think we're going to get this thing popping. All right? They're going to get this thing popping. Danny said, I stopped celebrating my birthday after 30. Listen, I know I ain't the only one here, and I ain't giving away my age. But after probably about 30, don't you be like, how old am I? I just stopped thinking about it. But I guess once you start getting to milestones like 40 and 50, I guess, and 60, it kind of gets bigger and bigger. But yeah, after 30, I'm like, And here we go. I think I just set myself up. But you know what? We're going to do the roundup.
It's time! It's time! It's time! It's time!
It's time.
It is time for
It's time for the morning roundup. Round 'em up, boys.
Hey, James Washington. He finna make this 53-man roster, ain't he? According to Spagnola, I'm thinking Mickey Spagnola, but from Shane Carter, shout out to Shane, A to Z sports writer. He tweeted yesterday that the Cowboys, Mickey, came out and said that James Washington is expected to be on the 53-man roster and then hit IR, something we had spoke about yesterday when we were doing our locks or not. And I said in the show yesterday, part of me just feels like that's what's going to happen because he is that veteran guy that they could acquire without acquiring, right? Put him on IR, he'll come back after week 4, and that is your veteran wide receiver. You can agree or disagree. That kind of felt like what was going to happen. I personally felt like they could have cut him and been fine. Nobody would have picked him up and brought him back. But this kind of ensures and guarantees that James Washington stays with the Cowboys without any funny business. So expect later today, which, by the way, the team needs to be finalized today. I know I didn't bring it up because we talked about it yesterday. But the team needs to be finalized today. And what's going to happen is you're going to see roster gymnastics. You're going to see guys like Washington, and by the way, Gallup as well. We talked about that last week. Will make the roster. Then a guy like Washington will hit IR for somebody else to return. What you want to keep your eye on that wide receiver, though, is who, if anyone, gets the cut. Because I don't have the roster in front of me, but I feel like if you carry Gallup and Washington, you're talking about 8 guys, definitely 7, that we kind of feel are going to be on this team. So y'all may not want to hear this, but I feel like that guy could be a Dennis Houston. Whereas a Turpin, I'm not cutting Turpin, right? He's on this roster. So you got Turpin, Washington, Gallup, Lamb, Tolbert, Noah. He could be one because he's the vested veteran, Semi, and Houston. That's 8 wide receivers. So who do you look at? It's not going to be Turpin. He'll get picked up right away. Noah Brown's a vested veteran, so they could do some funny business. Cut him. Wink, wink. Come on back. And then Dennis Houston, maybe they don't want to put him in waivers because he's a young guy that they like, although y'all know how I feel. I feel like he's being a bit overhyped. Not his fault. I think he's doing some good things at camp, but I feel like because of where we are at wide receiver, our fan base is like, oh my God, Dennis Houston. That hasn't been the case, man. But he is a rookie. He has done some good things at camp. Maybe another team sees it and likes it. So the best way to ensure you keep all your young guys that you want is to cut a vested veteran, and Noah Brown is that vested veteran. So maybe we see Noah Brown become that sacrificial lamb for roster gymnastics. Maybe we see that. Mel says, what has Dennis done to make this team? Well, Mel, forget the physical part of it, right? The number one thing he's done to make this team, it sounds like, is gain Dak Prescott's trust. So if you do that, if you gain QB1's trust, I think you got a big time in on the roster. All right? Big time in on the roster. So again, get ready for some roster gymnastics. The way the roster is going to look today at 5 p.m. is not how it's going to look tomorrow at 5 p.m. So just get ready. Stephen Jones spoke on 105 through the Fan yesterday. Who cares? No, but seriously, he spoke yesterday and he said some things that we kind of understood already. But he also said something that I don't know if I find it interesting, but I thought it was noteworthy to talk about here in the roundup. This is Stephen Jones, quote, hinting at tackle interest during the cutdowns. Quote, we feel good about where we're going and what our situation looks like, but certainly the offensive line is one where we aren't necessarily loaded with depth, you think, with depth there, but something that we'll continue to look at as things come to fruition over the next 2 or 3 days, as teams are going to have to expose a lot of players to waivers. We'll look at that, and we'll look at the veterans that are out there and see if we need to beef up there. End quote. So, Stephen Jones pretty much admitting the Cowboys, just like he said with receiver, but it never happened, whatever, are in the market for some tackle depth. Rightfully so. Now, yesterday, real funny, during Voch Lombardi Live, we're talking and we get an update. Hey, the Cowboys are interested in trading for the backup tackle with the New York Jets. I took a sip of my coffee, and 2 minutes later, hey, the Cowboys are not going to be trading for the backup tackle for the New York Jets by the same guy who broke the news. So, I don't know what to believe in that sense. Aaron Wilson's not plugged in down here in Dallas, but I do fool with Aaron Wilson. So this is no knock to him. But he broke his own news, and he basically said, oh, you know what? That's not happening. I talked to somebody else. I don't want to be that guy, but if it ain't Gelkin, if it ain't, even John, sometimes he don't do too much breaking of the news, but Michael Gelkin's kind of that guy that he puts in the work. I've seen he put in the work, and he will break that news or put that information out there. It's really hard for me to take it too seriously. Now, however, you got the Adam Schefters and you got the Ian Rappaports of the world who are plugged in with every team, but it's something about having that local media connect that I just trust more. So I was going to wait and sit back to see what was going on anyway. And what happens is hours go by, you figure out that's not the case. Nonetheless, Stephen Jones did say they are interested. Question is, are you interested, Cowboys Nation, in getting getting some tackle depth via cut downs and or free agency, which we talk about free agency, so I guess that's kind of out the window. But via cut downs or trade. That's it. Via cut downs or trade. Are you interested in an offensive tackle? Now, I did hear, I believe it was Kellen Moore, Arizona State, or was it Arizona? Yeah, I believe it was Arizona State. Could be wrong. Y'all let me know. Rookie tackle the Cowboys were interested in the draft. He was cut. I would look into that. I would certainly look into that. I liked him coming out more than I know it's hindsight because we see ball now, but I would swap that all day and tomorrow. I think there is real tools to work with that guy or that kid. I say kid, right? He's 6'8", whatever. But seriously, I think there's different tools to work with, and I would make that swap all day and tomorrow. Thank you, Arizona State. So, anybody down for that? Kellen Moore? No? Derek says if it's not a starter Sky, then hell no. I mean, the Cowboys still need some depth, though. You know what I mean? Still need some depth. And then finally in the roundup, Steven also yesterday on 105 Through the Fan said, and I quote, barring something unforeseen to start practice, Tyler Smith has a green light to start today, meaning yesterday, which was Monday. So that means Tyler Smith is back and ready to go for Cowboys practice this week. And he's going to need every single rep. Now, I know Chill, a.k.a. Clarence Hill, something else. He kind of was a bit snarky on Twitter today about how the Patriots opened up practice to their reporters, but the Cowboys did not. Interesting. Usually the reporters are at the very least during the season allowed to be in there the first 15 minutes of practice, which ain't nothing, guys, but warm-ups, slight one-on-one, I don't want to say one-on-one drills, but slight positional drills and things like that. But at least you get a chance to see where somebody may be working, who's out on the practice field, etc. Well, it looks like Dallas is shutting that down for the reporters. I don't know how long. I'll reach out to some friends down there and see what the case is with that. But I wish we can get somebody in there because I want to know, is it Tyler Smith up first? Which that seems to be the case. reading all the tea leaves, which ain't hard to read. Stephen Jones, Jerry Jones, they all believe that this is, hey, we drafted Tyler Smith to play tackle. All right, you did, but you really did that for like next year. But I digress. So if it is Tyler Smith, Cowboys Nation, this is what your projected starting lineup will look like in week 1. For better or for worse, because I know some people want to see Matt Fournier at either left guard or center. But here is what it's going to look like. You got Terrence Steele at right tackle, Zach Martin at right guard, Tyler Biadasz at center, Connor McGovern at left guard, Tyler Smith at left tackle. We've dissected this lineup, I think, up and down in regards to the preparation of it. It's weird. The only word I could think of is just been a weird process leading up to week 1. The good thing is you have 2 weeks to practice with this lineup. Now, I emphasize practice because in preseason, where was Tyler Smith? Left guard. Where was Connor Williams? Right guard and center. Now, I'm not saying preseason is end all be all of anything, but I would have really liked to see this combination in preseason at some point. When I say this combination, obviously Zach's not going to play, but Tyler and Terrence were in there, right? I would have loved to see them say, hey, Tyler, we're going to bump you out the left tackle for a couple series. Connor, we're going to put you at left guard where you struggled last year. We know you can struggle or you can play right guard, but we didn't see you at left guard. So let's see you next to this rookie. All right. It just never happened. So it didn't even happen in the joint practices. So you don't really have real bullets coming at you prior to week 1. So expect some growing pains. All right. Like, let's just be honest. Expect some growing pains with the offensive line. And before I move on, let me see what you guys got to say, man. C. Burleson said, all we can do is pray. Nah, I'm going to tell you what we can do, but we'll get to it. That left side, a lot to not like, says Toxic Tom. Bring Cam in to back up Dak. If we're talking about backup quarterback, says Just Blaze. Bruce says they didn't have a plan this offseason. See the link and wideouts. Let me say this because I've seen people say this before. I think it was on Vacha's show. They had a plan. It just wasn't a good one. Sure. That's fair to say. If that's their plan, I mean, to me, it shows their, in my opinion, and I know a lot of people like to say, Kyle, well, you're not a front office guy, whatever. It lacked intelligence, if that was your plan. It lacked foresight, if that was your plan, really, too. But anyway, this looks to be your projected starting offensive line that hasn't had a significant real snap together. And it doesn't have to be preseason, but it hasn't had a snap together in joint practice. And I tend to value those joint practices maybe more than some. So I would have liked to see it. Absolutely, I would have. It is what it is, though. We got 2 weeks to figure this thing out. So that leads me to today's topic. We talked a lot about how this offense was going to have to look different. Period. There's no longer CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup, and Amari Cooper healthy, ready to go, roaring to go week 1 like we've seen the last 2 years. Previous 2 years, I should say. There's not even a Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb roaring to go like we've seen the last 3 years, which when I say CeeDee Lamb, I meant to say Michael Gallup and Amari Cooper. Because in 2019, those guys are ready to go. There's not. So I think the approach this year and for quite some time and maybe the entire season is just going to have to be different for a number of reasons. The wide receiver room, as we talked about, is not as deep. The offensive line is different. I feel like there's going to be more of a West Coast feel based off of what I've seen and hearing, Jerry talk about McCarthy. Hey, you got to put your hands on it. You got to do a little bit more without saying those things. Well, McCarthy comes from the West Coast type of situation. So, and you're seeing these things being implemented. So with Tyron Smith going down, I just think that adds to it. And now you have to start thinking about, we've already talked about the issues that it caused, but how do you find a solution? How can you do some positive things out of this lineup? Let me mute you here. Where can the Cowboys succeed? I had Astro Lamb on the Twitter streets. He hit me and Vach up yesterday, and he said this. Vach, Sky, I'm trying to think positive. If this is the offensive line on week 1, what do they do well? How do the Cowboys maximize this line's strengths and minimize their defects? And he listed the offensive line we talked about: Tyler Smith, Connor McGovern, Biotish, Zach, and Terrence Steele. Right off the bat, something we spoke about a few days ago, maybe it was last week. Right off the bat, I feel comfortable on the right side because I have data. I have proof that can work. I'm not saying it's perfect, but I know it can work. I know in the first 6 weeks of the season last year, when I ran to that right side with Zach and Terrence, had some success, especially off tackle. I was averaging over 5 yards per carry over there. And then when I went way outside, that number spiked. So when I think it was the Lunatic, shout out to Lunatic, called in and said, hey man, what about moving Zach Martin to right tackle or right guard? I'm sorry, left tackle or left guard. I said, yeah, but that now opens up question marks across my line, as opposed to me feeling secure about at least one part of my line. Most offensive lines are not up and down, all pros, pro bowlers, or you feel comfortable, or all good players in general. You're going to have weak links in offensive lines. But can you have confidence in a portion of it? And last year, that right side I felt comfortable with. Right now, going into this year, I feel comfortable with it. Right? So how do I minimize the defects? Ask Astro, which, let's be honest, is the left side. Tyler Smith, Connor McGovern, and you can add Biotish in there if you want. Let's talk about Tyler. Vach so eloquently presented this case yesterday. If you did missed it, go check it out on Voch Lombardi Live. It was at some point in the show. He talked about basically putting a tight end over there next to Tyler and shortening the field. I love his O-line takes. He talks about how when it's just the left tackle, you got from your left foot to the sideline of space, as opposed to when you're a guard, it's from the left foot to the right foot of the tackle. So you're in that what we call phone booth. And we know Tyler Smith does best in a phone booth. So what he's saying is, if you shorten that field, it's a way to put him back in that booth and wrestle with those guys and help him out a little bit. Not saying you got to chip with the tight end, but just giving that defensive end an extra, gap to have to account for. I'm sorry, extra player to have to account for. Another way is to lean on the quick game in the passing department, right? Be creative in your passing game via the snaps, the sets, the pre-snap motions, and all that good stuff. We talked about last year how CeeDee Lamb only was motioned 53 times, which was 6 on the team. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That number has to increase, right? That number absolutely has to increase. Same thing for Pollard. He was 5th on the team. How else can I minimize what's going on over there on the left side? While Connor and Tyler weren't the greatest in their combo blocks last year. When I say Tyler, I mean Tyler Biotish. Allow Tyler Smith to help out Connor, right? Get some more pulls where Tyler has some down blocks going on. Allow Tyler Smith to get to the second level of all these linebackers and DBs. That's another way, right? We're going to lean on the ground game in general, but you have to be more creative. And here's the most important part. You've got to remain more creative. Too many times that starts off that way and then it doesn't end that way. So be more creative and remain more creative. So those are some of the things, some of the ways to maximize the strengths, what I think is the right side of the offensive line, and then minimize the defects, as Astro talked about, which is the left side of the offensive line. And we have some plays that I'm a show that can do that. But before I get to that, let's take a look at the chat. We had a caller come in. If you want to call in, you can 351-999-3787. My goodness, we got another Dalton over Dak person that just popped in here. Who are these people? What is, I mean, listen, I don't mind a good troll, but Squad, I might have to make me a graphic for this. Do I have to give him the coloring book? Do we have to do that? Because this is what I don't want to do. We're doing some good football things here. We're talking good football things. I know some people can't pay attention. Some people got ADHD or ADD. You need some Ritalin. Need some Adderall, whoever you are, sir. Yeah. The grown folk are talking. Oh, boy, y'all testing me today. King Element Sky, look at my O-line comment. I want to see what you think. Where you at, King? Where you at, King? Okay. Bro, I don't know where your O-line comment's at, man. I think it's way up there. Okay, here it is. I think this offense line has potential to be nice at the end of the season. Even the 2020 line was meh. After having the whole season together, 2020 line was terrible. O-line is more about how you work as a unit than individual guys. Sure, absolutely. I mean, that's 100% true. The O-line is definitely about being one compared to five. I think the O-line has potential to be nice at the end of the season. At this point, man, I look at this offensive line, King, and I tell myself, it is what it is. I don't think we're looking at a stellar offensive line by the end of the season. I don't think we're looking at Great Wall of Dallas. I don't think we're looking at 2016, 2014, anything like that. But guess what? I don't care. You know why I don't care? Because I'm putting the pressure on Kellen Moore and I'm putting the pressure on Dak Prescott to help these guys. I know that's a lot of pressure on your quarterback. He can only do but so much. But I'm really putting this pressure on the offense coordinator. I really was hoping that Tyron would be in here, but he ain't. Find a way. Right? And we're going to look at these ways. And I look around the league and I look at lines that were just as diminished as this, maybe, or worse. And I've seen coordinators able to game plan, scheme, etc. Their way to victories or their way to good performances. Do I look at this line and feel like this line? I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. No, I don't think this is gonna be one of those lines where we're like, yo, this line was dominant. This line was really damn good. I don't know that yet, man. I got to see that. I mean, it's just too many question marks at this point. But I think Tyler Smith is going to be your guy. That's your future at left tackle. I think Terrence, is going to be a solid right. And then Zach is Zach. It's going to be growing pains with Connor and Tyler over there. Tyler Biadasz, I mean, they're probably going to be looking to draft a center soon. I mean, I don't think they're as confident in him being their guy just yet, but he's their guy right now. So that's kind of my honest opinion on it. I'm not sold on this unit long term. Individuals, but this unit, not necessarily. And that's where Kellen's going to have to help. Let's hit the Pulse of the Nation phone lines presented by the Cochran Firm. Since 2005, the Cochran Firm of Texas has served the DFW area community. Their attorneys headlined by the team of Brian Pope and Larry Taylor, great dudes. And I'm not saying that just to say that. I met these guys. They're amazing guys. They handle the most challenging civil cases involving personal injury, wrongful death, fraud, truck, and automobile accidents, class action suits, you name it. And all of their cases are handled on a contingent fee basis, meaning if there's no financial recovery, then they charge no fee. No matter what it is. If you have any legal questions or legal concerns, or you need a lawyer, or you need a firm, hit up the Cochran Firm at 1-800-THE-FIRM or schedule your free consultation today at CochranTexas.com. We got 312 Chicago in the building. What's good?
Hey, what's good, young fella? Actually, I'm calling from Rio de Janeiro. I'm not calling from Chicago. I'm just going. And it's cold in Rio. It's like It's like 81 degrees. We're wearing parkas and and hoodies down here today.
Damn, my kind of
real
weather.
Quick, man, you hit on all the points of which I was going to address. I think it comes down to coaching. Look at the top 4 teams in the NFL last year. They all have OL problems.
Mm-hmm.
Cincinnati didn't upgrade. I mean, they upgraded a little bit. They picked up Collins, but their offensive line is no better than what ours is right now. Tampa Bay has none of their returning starters playing in the first game, as it looks like. So, it comes down to coaching. What can Kevin Moore draw up to put Dak and these guys in position? Because we always have talent, and we never get the job done. Now it comes down, they said Kevin Moore was the second best play caller last year. I want to see him design a game plan, not call plays, design a game plan to attack a defense the way we did in that first game last year against Tampa Bay. Then we just kind of stopped planning on games. We just started running plays. So it comes down to, at the end of the day, Mike McCarthy and Kevin Moore doing the same thing what they're doing on the defense, putting players in positions to be successful, especially when you have a weak link on your OL. Don't stress these guys out against competitions where they can't hold up. Run the ball, like you just said. Run the ball. Put us in 21 personnel. We got good tight ends. We got some good draft picks. I'm just tired of seeing us wasting talent. We're the second team outside of the Kansas City Chiefs who have more Pro Bowlers, and we ain't got no Super Bowls. So it's not about talent. Our problem has been coaching. I've been a Cowboys fan since 1972. Been to all the Super Bowls.
Go one more
and the
up.
one thing that's been explicitly the problem of our team since the 90s has been consistent coaching. When we had Tuna in there, Jerry wouldn't get out.
Let me stop you. Let me stop you. Go one more above coaching.
One more above coaching.
That's the problem.
Oh, you mean Jerry? You know what the problem is with Jerry is?
I don't say Jerry. I never just say Jerry. I say front office because that includes Stephen Jones.
All right, front office.
But Jerry and Stephen Jones, that's the problem because they're hiring.
The team was in debt.
They're hiring those
I think
coaches.
Exactly. We've got to. Mike McCartney needs to step up. He has a quote unquote resume. Let's see him do something this year. We've got the talent. You've hit it on. It's the coaching thing. I want to see Kevin Moore draw up some game plans. Not just draw up some plays, some game plans, so that we don't have the same problems that we had last year against Kansas City, against Denver, where we got exposed, and then in that championship game against San Francisco, come on, we weren't tough enough. No, we didn't game plan to beat them. So, blessings to everybody. It's cold down in Rio, man. It's a cold 81 degrees. I got to put my boots on, and let's go Cowboys.
Appreciate you, man. Great call. What's your name, man?
That's Rex Erickson. We're down here doing American football, man. We're going to be launching a new league in 2024. Awesome. I'll get you guys some gear and stuff. I got great. You and Boss down to get y'all some stuff when we get it wrapped up with Nike. So as soon as this gear gets down here, we're going to send you guys some stuff. And God willing, we're going to be doing a combine at the Star in 2024 in January. So I'll give you guys information on that as well.
Please do. I appreciate that. Great call.
Outstanding. Have a blessed day.
You too. That was a great call. From Rio de Janeiro. I say great call because he said something right there and I had to write down game plans versus plays, and hold tight 920. I'm going to get to you in a second. Game plans versus plays. What I'm about to show you are plays. But within those plays in some of these games, there actually was, I thought, solid game plans. And he brought up the Tampa Bay game. I'm going to be completely frank with you. A lot of people hated that game plan right after it happened. Did he go too overboard with the 58 attempts or something like that? Maybe. And no doubt about it. But I actually didn't. Coming out of that game, if you go back and look at, I think it was the next day when we came on Monday morning, I was like, hey, listen, I get it. No Zach Martin. All right. We ain't know about no Tyler Biadasz. Connor Williams, we know he struggled with those power. I understood. You can't attack Vita and those boys up front. And every time they did, it was just a negative play. Now, outside, they had some success on the edges, and they could have kept doing that. But what I thought they did was they used the quick game to set up their long game passing game. They used horizontal. They used the field, the whole entire field early on. They used 21. They had extended handoffs from the passing game. So that looks like a 58 attempts. Plus, Dak also changed some of the plays as well. He said there was like 12 of them. Nonetheless, it was still going to be over 40 attempts. A little overboard in 58, maybe, but I wasn't as opposed to that game plan. So I'm with you. Game plan versus plays, but I want to show you guys a couple plays. And make sure I got this pulled up correctly so we can go ahead and hop into this film room. Yes, indeed, I do. Let's go ahead. And y'all seen some of these plays, but let's break it down a little bit more, right? Let's break it down a little bit more. We're talking about 21 personnel, like the guy said on the phone. We've brought this up a lot. We should be seeing a lot more Tony Pollard and Ezekiel Elliott in the backfield. Go ahead and let this play roll. You're going to get Tony Pollard at snap motion. Beautiful play action right to the outside. I mean, this is just a great design. It's a great design. You get, I think this is Amari Cooper coming back. Not that guy was going to catch him anyway, but just a great play design and things you want to see. 21 personnel, right? We talk about 21 personnel. This was one of my favorite plays from this game, was that fake screen two-way go that resulted in a touchdown. Again, Kellen was kind of in his bag early on in this season. And really, if you go actually look at this play, Dak had any option. He could have went either way. It worked both ways. It worked here and it worked here. Now realize, I think this still has the potential to be here. This same look, because I know CeeDee Lamb's going to garner double coverage. So maybe this safety cheats over in week 1, but you're going to have one-on-one with Tober. The thing is, do you trust Tober to get down? But nonetheless, just a good play design to do what? Helps your offensive line. Both of those plays help your offensive line. Another one, 21 personnel. Another at snap motion, easy completion, easy yak. This helps your offensive line. You don't got to worry about Tyler Smith over here and Connor McGovern over here. You're throwing away from them. You're getting the easy 8 yards from Tony Pollard in 21. I feel like this needs to be done more often. It needs to be done more often. I think it will, based off of what we've seen in camp. Now, before we move on, I think, oh no, this is another play. Before we move on to the next game. Oh, this was the pre-snap motion. Now, we talked about pre-snap, at-snap motion. It sets up the leverage for Amari Cooper. Now, this one right here, Amari Cooper routes up my guy. But again, I wouldn't even say he routed him up. To be honest with you, this was set up from the play. This was set up from the play. When you bring Said Wilson back over, all it takes is this guy to think for 1 second. Just 1 second on what Said's going to do, because they have responsibilities. And he's done. Kind of routed him up at the top of that route. Great throw, great pass. And we'll get to the rest of this here in a second. But that's all week 1. I wanted to show you all that before we get to the rest of it. That's all against Tampa. It was all good just a week ago. Like week 1 and even in a few other games early on, you saw some of these things. In fact, I had a video called Kellen's in his bag. Kellen's in his bag. And then for whatever reason, it just didn't happen. Same thing happened a few years ago. But I'm going to show you some more plays that I think helps this offensive line. If you look at some of those plays, none of those plays required you to hold the ball for 8 seconds, 5 seconds. It was pre-snap motion. It was at snap motion. It was get the ball out to Tony Pollard real quick. It was things that would, unless your tackle just gets beat like that, it helps your offensive line. It helps your offensive line. And I think there are things that I think Kellen is going to have to adjust. I mean, the title of today's thumbnail was forced to adjust. I think he's going to be forced to do these things. Now, I've said this a few times, whether I was down there in Oxnard, whether I came back home, whether I was watching. Now, it wasn't too much down there in Dallas, but I was like, something looked different. Something looks different with the offense. I mean, it's definitely more West Coasty with the short stuff, right? But I'm talking about more 21. I'm talking about, more horizontal things, more Tony Pollard getting involved. I'm seeing some of that. Now, what I want to see is when we get to the next part of the film breakdown, and it's not even necessarily this next play, but the next game that I'm going to talk about, I want to see more of that. But I look at it and I see, I'm like, it feels like something is different, but we got to see it be put on tape. And then what I hate about this year is a lot of this year ain't got shit to do with the beginning of the season. Granted, that's your toughest part of the schedule. It's how are we finishing, right? But one step at a time, 1 week at a time. You can't win the Super Bowl in week 1, right? But you can set yourself up for success. So those are just some of the plays against the team the Cowboys are going to have to play in week 1 that I still think you can implement. Granted, you don't have Gallup. Granted, you don't have Cooper. But a lot of that had nothing to do, no offense to their skill set, with their skill. A lot of that had to do with scheme. So Kellen is capable. I got Glenn. So let me get to 920 and Glenn because I like listening to what Glenn got to say too. And then we'll get back to the tape. What's up, 920?
Hey, what up, Skywalker? You know who this is. It's your boy, Carl.
Carl! We got two days in a row we get Carl. What's up?
Yeah. Hey, I got a question. I've been thinking, are the Cowboys doing anything to correct that guard, that left guard? Are they looking? I know they was looking at one of the guys from where was he from? The Jets, I think.
The tackle?
The tackle, yeah.
So earlier in the roundup, we kind of talked about that. That is not happening per sources in the NFL. It kind of came up, and then I guess Aaron Wilson reached back out to his NFL connects, and they said, nope, not a thing.
Wow. Yeah, and that's really my only concern is that guard. I think Tyler Smith will have his way at the left tackle. It's just that guard because I really don't. I trust McGovern more than I trust Ball at the right tackle. I mean right guard. I just don't have that feeling for. I just don't have that feeling. I got that bad feeling. You think we're gonna be okay with this? You know, we got.
I mean, I think you can be if your offensive coordinator helps it. Like what we can't do is what we did in 2020, where and I think Tyler is better than Terrence in 2020, but even still, I think we just had a bit of an arrogance to our offensive approach. Where, hey man, we got Dak, we got Gallup, we got Lamb, we got Tony, we got Zeke and Amari. We don't need to help the O-line. And you saw Kellen kind of, hey, we're just going to drop back and leave Terrence on an island against Myles Garrett and against this and that, and it just didn't work out that way. So I think you would hope that Kellen learns a bit more. He used more 12 last year. This is his 4th year. I think naturally he'll continue to grow. It's just a matter of how much more. So do I think we'll be okay? I think that'll be up to your coordinator.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And the thing about it really gets me so pissed, they always talk about the Cowboys like we losing, the left tackle, which that's bad with losing Tyron Smith. It's bad. How long have we been this? It's been the last 3-4 years. He have missed games, and we managed to be okay. It's a lot of teams out there that's lost. Look at Tampa. They whole pretty much offensive line are depleted. But you go in this game thinking that they can still beat Dallas. It's just I get it. Injuries do come.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Cowboys can be. I don't know what the line is for week 1, but I personally think the Cowboys can beat them. But
it was 2. It was 2. I think 2.5, and it's down to 1 now. It's down to 1. So I guess that line being and what Brady's been going through is that first. If they can win that first game and get that first game, and this may sound weird, if they can just get this first game out of the way, I feel a lot more comfortable, and then I can go back game by game every week.
What's so weird about the I appreciate the call, Carl. And Carl, and I gotta say, I gotta switch it up. It's really not Carl, it's Carl. But I appreciate the call, Carl, and I'm gonna talk about that in a second.
Okay. Thanks a lot, bro. See you later.
The weird thing about week 1 with the Cowboys, man. I hate that about us. We're very consistent at being inconsistent. This franchise is weird. Like, no back-to-back playoff berths, no back-to-back winning the division. And then in week 1, there's that part of me that's like, yes, I obviously want to win week 1. Then I look at the history, and I know this really doesn't mean anything. But when Cowboys win week 1, they don't go to the playoffs. I don't get it. When's the last time it happened? It's been a long time coming. But when they lose week 1, they go to the playoffs. I just don't understand. Which is why part of me last year, playing the defending Super Bowl champions on the road, I was like, hey, man, listen, I'm going to give them one moral victory. I'm talking about for the rest of this era. And that was it. No more moral victories. But that was the one I'm like, listen, man, it was well fought. Nobody expected Dallas to really win that game. Nobody expected them to be that close. Well fought. Now let's go ahead and go on this run. And I have a clip where I'm like, man, if you look at the schedule, Dallas has a chance. And they went on this run. And this year, I think it's a bit reverse. I don't want to see no moral. Ain't no moral victories. I think you could beat Tampa. Beat Tampa, goddammit. And then you got the Bengals. You need to win Rams. You need to win these games so you can have confidence moving forward. So, and I know it's weird because if they win the game, it usually means they won't go to the playoffs, but I don't give a damn. It's strange. Yeah, it's true. The division in general is inconsistent. But it's been that way for Dallas for so long, where I got to watch the division have 3 Super Bowl victories since 2007 in it. So it sucks because even in their inconsistency, when they hit, boy, they hit. Hate it. What's good, Glenn? No time, no speak. How you doing, man?
Doing well, Sky. Good to connect with you again. Sorry I've been away, but I've been still listening to the show intermittently, and you're doing a great job as usual. So the reason for my call is I think it's very timely, the little breakdown you did at the beginning, because that's really what I was wondering. I was wondering, how is Kellen Moore going to adjust? And so going into this year, I've got 0 questions about our defensive unit. I mean, this is the most confident I've been in our defense in quite some time. But I look at our offensive unit, and I got tons of questions. Ideally, I think the Cowboys want balance, right? I think in a perfect world, that's what the Cowboy philosophy generally is. A balanced offensive unit where they can run the ball, pass the ball, get explosives, keep the time of possession in their favor. That's really what they want to do. The problem is that we don't have the personnel, in my opinion, and I kind of want to get your take on this. I don't think that I can identify what is the strength of our offensive unit. In other words, I don't feel great about our offensive line, especially with Tyron going down. I did like what I saw out of the draft pick, Tyler Smith, but that was predicated on the fact that I thought he was going to be on that interior. Yeah. I thought that's where the offensive line was really shaky towards the end of the year and kind of got exposed versus the 49ers. So I guess my question to you is, what's the strength of our offensive unit going into the first 4 games without Gallup? Is it the running game, or is it the passing game?
Oh, it's 100%. It's 100% the run. When I say running game, I hate to use the term game yet because we have to see how that plays out. It's the running backs, right? It's the running your skill players. Tony Pollard, Ezekiel Elliott, whether it be Rico Dowdle or Malik Davis, whoever they decide to roll with. We'll get the cuts here after we do our meat potatoes of the show. As opposed to the passing game. Now, you could argue if you include Dalton Schultz into the passing game, you got CeeDee Lamb and Dalton Schultz, right? But I think it's easier to take away, to allow them to say, hey, we'll let you get your dink and dunks to Dalton Schultz. And then once you get into that green area, can you convert? But I think Tony Pollard and Zeke is your bread and butter right now. As opposed, when I say bread and butter, if you look at the numbers, obviously when Dallas runs for 180 million yards, they win all the games or whatever. But last year it was clear, cut and dry, right? That your passing offense was the most potent part of your team because you had a ridiculous amount of skill players there, plus the Dalton Schultz, and teams had to account for that. We'll see how teams adjust because they don't have to account for all those weapons anymore. So can Kellen make up for that? And it makes for a case of how balanced can we be? Can we show that balance when teams are potentially loading up that box and making you beat them with the passing game and put more attention on CeeDee Lamb? That is a big giant TBD, to be decided. I don't know what that's going to look like.
Yeah, and I agree with you as far as skill set on the offense. I do agree that it's the running backs. But the way I look at it is I like the running backs with the offensive line that I thought we were going to have. With this offensive line, especially that interior, if Tyler moves to the outside, I'm telling you, this interior, I'm not trying to poo-poo it, but I don't see where they've gotten any better. So I'm still a little concerned, and I guess
that's fair. I don't know that they got better either from a personnel standpoint. Tyler Biadasz and Connor McGovern were your left guard and center for about 4 games last year. So they have to improve themselves again. And I hate to sound like a broken record. Where the improvement's going to have to come is from your offensive coordinator. If this was more of a zone, if we had a running scheme, right, zone blocking scheme, or just a running scheme in general, I think you feel better about guys coming in and out of this lineup because you have a proven system that works. But that doesn't seem like that's been the case from a running game department over the years. There really hasn't been a rhyme or reason to the run game. It's kind of just been, hey, we're going to run.
Yeah, no, and that's fair. And you look at the way the game is being played and coached right now. There are a lot of offensive coordinators running around out there with quote unquote systems, which to me is ridiculous because not every coordinator deserves to be thought of in that regard as having a system. I guess the concern with Kellen is that I think he got a little preoccupied with his system last year, which, when you have a pretty balanced team on offense as far as running and passing, maybe you can do a little of that. Now there are so many question marks that, unfortunately, I think we are going to have to rely on his quote-unquote system even more because I can't really identify where I think the running backs are the best unit, but with this offensive line, you got to stay ahead of the sticks.
Yeah.
And so I think we are going to be leaning on Kellen, and we're going to have to cross our fingers and hope for the best. And then when Gallup gets back, I'll feel a lot better. But I really do want to see more out of Tolbert. And I think he's been a little disappointing to me just overall. I guess I thought I was expecting more, but hopefully he can pick it up as the season goes on. So I'll let you go with that.
All right. Appreciate you, Glenn. Good call. Yeah, Tolbert, he's a rookie. I think we were at least I was hoping that, when he first came in, he was kind of going to be just a cog in this machine as guys like Gallup or Washington or whoever the veteran guy they would brought in before it was Washington would help. I don't want to say hide Tolbert, but you know what I'm saying? Like Tolbert doesn't have to be counted on in that manner. Problem is Washington now goes down. Gallup's not ready, which we knew it was going to happen anyway. So now kind of you need Tolbert to step it up. But it looks like Noah's going to be that guy. It's a strange situation, but Tolbert's a rookie, and I get it. Everyone's excited after the draft, me included. But then you kind of got to, all right, look, let me put some logic to it. Let me add some context to it. Let me be real about it. It's going to take a little bit. It is what it is. Even with Dak Prescott. Even with Dak. I think Tolbert is going to be fine. But would anybody argue that Tolbert is CeeDee Lamb coming in? I don't think so. I think he's more Michael Gallup than CeeDee Lamb. Michael Gallup came in a wide receiver room that had its question marks, right? And he wasn't quite ready. It took him a while. He admitted, Allen Hurns helped me kind of become a professional wide receiver. I think he's more coming into that situation, not exact, but more of that than what CeeDee Lamb was coming into. All pro Bowl route runner, and an established Michael Gallup on the other side. And now CeeDee Lamb can go in the slot where he's shown he could do slot things, whereas Tolbert just started doing slot things. Not saying he can't, but he had just started doing it. I think Lamb was just a better player, point blank period, coming out of college. So I just think that things are different. So it may take some time with Tolbert, but I guarantee you this, he will look much better with Dak than he did in preseason. So I think that's a given. But I don't expect to see this passing offense be some light the world on fire type of offense early. Of course, anything can happen, but I think that's a realistic approach to it. So I know we got some roster cuts that are happening, and I meant to kind of lead off with that show, with the show. That's going to happen during the show. Guys' names are going to be trickling off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let that beat build, and we're going to continue to talk about, jump into this film room, and then after that, we'll go and scour the waiver wire and see what the Cowboys have done. So we'll get to those roster cuts in a bit. So let's jump back to the film room, how the Cowboys can help out this offensive line, whether it be in the red zone like this or not. And this is just one of those easy design rub routes that results in a touchdown pass to Ezekiel Elliott. Now, this was against Washington, but it's really about the play design, all right? It's really more so about the play design than anything. Almost not the same exact play against the Giants, but again, these type of plays help scheme open guys. And I love this play, but we broke this down on the drive of the game. I mean, it just was fantastic. Dak's ball skills has become, pretty damn good over the few years. And I just love the way he looks it off. It comes right back, boom. And you get an easy walking touchdown to Ezekiel Elliott. I mean, that's play design. Now, this is the game where a lot of pre-snap motion helped the run game. Now, this is against the Eagles. I know people are going to go, it's the Eagles. And I know their linebackers aren't the same this year. Neither is the defensive line. But let's remember, coming into this game, they were one of the best run defenses, whatever, early in the season. They did have Hargrave. They did have Cox. They did have Graham. They did have their guys. And the Cowboys were able to run up and down on the Eagles. And I think a lot of that had to do with just the design, pre-snap motion, right? At snap motion, getting linebackers to move one way or the other. You're going to see, I think it's 49. You're going to see him go to his left, which opens up that lane. You're going to see crackbacks. Now, it didn't work with Blake Jarwin, but that's what you want to see. You want to see more of that. And this is, by the way, week 3. This is week 3. I urge you to go look at week 16, 15. There wasn't a lot of this for whatever reason. Let's take a look at this play, see what happens here. Another pull. Just imagine 77 is 73. Okay, so you're worried about Tyler Smith, right? You're worried about what he's going to do. Well, get him back in that phone booth. Allow him to get some down blocks going and pull your all-pro Zach Martin. Get your tight end moving this way. Get your other tight end into the second level and let your running backs run off the hip of those offensive linemen. That's scheming. It's not Willie beaming. It's Willie scheming. All right? Another at snap motion. What does the at snap motion do? What are you about to see when you get to the, as my guy Vach would say, cartel view? It's going to move this linebacker. It's going to create a lane by just moving the linebacker. This isn't difficult. These aren't things that are rocket science. Again, another pull. Allow Ezekiel Elliott to read off those linemen. Allow Zeke and TP to do what they do. You worried about, is it the same? Yeah, you're worried about this. This is where Tyler Smith will be. You worried about Tyler Smith? All right, well, get him to the second level. Get him to the second level and let him get on top of one of these linebackers or DBs and see if they want some of that smoke. It's not difficult. All right, now you got the defense guessing. You got the defense not knowing what the hell was going on with these play actions. And what do you do off of that? That's where you can open up the passing game. Does it have to be deep? Nope. Get a quick screen. Get your lineman out in front. These just aren't difficult things to do that I think Kellen Moore and Dak Prescott can execute at a high level to help out your offensive line. The caller talked about game plans versus plays. That was the game I wanted to point at in the Tampa Bay game where there was a game plan. There was a clear, concise game plan in those games. I thought for the most part successful, even in the Tampa game. People were upset that he threw that much, but I understood that. You know what I mean? Understood that. But those are some plays and some game plans that I think Kellen Moore can continue to implement. And remember what I said earlier. Something that he has to do on a consistent basis. Not only does he have to be creative, but he has to remain creative. That's the main thing. So that's our little film room session for today, Cowboys Nation. I hope you enjoyed that, and you can go back to your friends, barbershop, whatever, and be like, hey, man, look, we can do this. It's just a matter of our offensive coordinator helping out that offensive line. None of that required some all-pro, and I'm not knocking these offensive linemen. There were some blocks that were really good. You look at Terrence Steele, you look at your all-pro Zach Martin, even some of the tight ends were some good technique. But what I mean is a lot of that was mitigating weaknesses. Connor Williams, to be honest. You know what I mean? And emphasizing the strengths of your offensive line. Getting Terrence Steele. In that game, Terrence Steele got to the second level amazingly, and I didn't even show all the plays. Getting Zach on the move. Having your tight ends being able to stay in the phone booth as opposed to getting out of space where they struggled blocking last year. Allowing your running backs to read, misdirect. I mean, it's there. It's possible. It worked last year. It's just a matter of can Kellen build on top of that because he didn't do it last year, and I digress. All right, before we get to some more cuts, let's get back to the phone lines presented by the Cochran firm. What's good, Twan?
What's good, Scott? I've been just listening to you. I just tuned in a little bit late.
It's all good, man.
The
important thing is you tuned in.
That's for sure. A couple things. Well, I don't know if you read the chat, but one, Dante Drummond got cut, and damn, my guy from Liberty, Story Jackson, got cut. But I think he's going to come back to the practice squad.
I do too. At least I hope. There is something to build off a Story. He had a really good preseason.
I know, but the thing about it is, though, this linebacker core is really going to be good for years to come, though. Like, or at least for the next couple seasons at least, because I really like the additions we made over the last 2 years. And people forget that we also have Damone Clark, too, next year, if he gets healthy, of course. Which I think wasn't he supposed to be like a first-round pick if he didn't get that spinal fusion surgery?
I don't know if he'd have been a first-round pick. I mean, no linebacker went in the first round this year except the Utah kid, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't think he'd have been a first-round pick, but I think he'd have been a day 2 pick for sure.
Okay. My question is to you about the offense, and I'll quickly get off here. Do you feel like we can get vertical, like I think towards the end of the year when we probably have all our receivers back? Like you think Kellen Moore will probably get in his bag, be like, okay, I might have my weapons back. I can, and Dak is, coming along. I feel like he might even take a even bigger jump this year after him coming back from his injury. So I just want to know, do you think we can still be vertical enough, but at the same time be also a really good running team as well?
I'm going to be completely honest. The vertical game has been maybe the worst part of this offense in training camp. It's not been good. So no, I don't. I think you're going to see more of a West Coast offense. Again, I think we have to temper our expectations on Michael Gallup. It's going to take a bit. He's not going to come back and I could be wrong. He might come back and start just taking the top off the defense and catching all the ball, but that might take some time. The only way that would change my mind is if I see Jalen Tolbert dig into his South Alabama bag, where he was doing great vertically, but I haven't seen that in camp. So I'm only talking about what I've seen and then using that data to project. I don't see this being a vertical offense. That's what I mean by there's been something different about this, and that's one of the main things I think you'll notice right away is that I don't think you're going to see. And I didn't even say this at the beginning of the show. I don't know if you know who this is, Twan, but rest in peace, Ernie Zampese, who, one of the architects of the Air Coryell, who he worked with. And I brought this up a lot on my shows over the last few years. Those who have been day ones, they know I bring this up because it is still in the DNA of the Dallas Cowboys. But I think we may see a slight shift this year. And what I mean by that, that basically means that you're reading deep. You're reading your deep routes first, and then you're coming back down. A lot of people get mad at Dak Prescott. Oh, he's holding the ball. Tony Romo, he's holding the ball. Because the read is to wait for the deep ball. If it's not there, then I'm coming back down. Whereas the West Coast offense kind of wants you to get the ball out quicker. It's more of a timing-based offense, and I think you're going to see more of that. So I don't think we'll be a vertical offense if I had to guess right now, August 30th.
Mm-hmm. Well, that makes sense because I feel like we're going to take maybe 3 or 4 backs this year on our team who are going to make the team at least. But yeah, that's all I had, Sky. As always, keep doing what you're doing, man. I'm always continue watching. Salute.
Appreciate you, bro. Good call. Man, we're moving. We're moving good. I'm going to leave the lines open till 9:50, then I'm going to close them. All right, let's see. We got, I need to put my breaking news. I used to have a new, man, I don't know if y'all remember, my whole soundboard got wiped, but we got a new soundboard now.
And we up, baby.
So I got to put that back in here, but let's get to what is essentially breaking news with the cuts and get ready for a ton of them. You know, there was 80 players. I got to get down to 53. So I've been writing them down as I've been seeing them come in the chat, and now I'm back on Twitter. One of my favorites, as Twan just talked about, Story Jackson, has been cut. I think Story Jackson had a fantastic preseason. I watched every single last snap of every defensive play in preseason, and there was parts of me when I was running back certain plays, I want to get to when Story gets on the field because he just moves different out there. The athleticism is there. I thought he showed a higher football smarts from middle linebacker than I assumed would happen. Not to say that this guy's dumb or anything like that. It's just that it was more of a will to me. But they asked him to do a lot of middle linebacker things in preseason, and he was diagnosing at a high level. So I'm hoping that he can sneak him on the practice squad. And the next year he's a part of that group where I've mentioned in the offseason. In 2023, the way I feel about the linebacker core going into that season is going to be completely different than what I felt about it going into this season. Then they added Anthony Barr, so you feel better. But you're going to get Micah year 3, Jabril Cox year 3, Damone Clark coming back. Devin Harper's probably going to make this team. I mean, maybe, hopefully Story can make his name and be a part of this. And you're going to have a ridiculously athletic group. So there is no Story Jackson right now, but let's see if he clears waivers. Dontario Drummond, another one expected to be cut. I don't really have, maybe practice squad, right? Probably practice squad. Didn't do much in the preseason, not much at camp, but again, it's hard when that room is 10, 11, 12 deep and everybody is trying to fight for a spot. Tyler Coyle. I hope we get him back on the practice squad too. That safety room turned into a battle, didn't it? Real fast. And Tyler Coyle was always going to be the odd man out. They weren't carrying 6 safeties. Alec Lindstrom also has been cut. Another expected situation. I thought early on that maybe Lindstrom, Fournier would compete with Biotish. That just never came to fruition. So let's see if he comes back. I know James MP is a guy who also was cut a couple days ago. Another center, maybe they bring him back and they have those guys compete. And then Mika Tafua, another guy who was cut, an expected cut, but one who I'm really hoping gets back on this practice squad. Mika to me was kind of reminded me of Bradley and I. Now Bradley had more success, I think, in college, at least more tools. But Mika, man, he was popping at camp. He was popping in preseason. He'd be somebody I'd love to stash on that practice squad, allow him to develop, and add to the repertoire next year, right? Add to that pass rush. So those are the guys right now. Story, Drummond, Koyu, Mika Tafua, Lindstrom today. There was guys that were released yesterday, but the more they roll in, y'all, go ahead and let me know, and we'll go ahead and let everybody else know if they miss it. Let's see. James says Story play better than Luke. Definitely pop more. Again, I thought, Luke only played what, y'all? 2 games. 1 or 2 games. I can't remember. I got to give credit to him. I thought he impressed me, you know, and I came in questioning Luke, and I still in a way do. I think he would be the 5th backer, if anything, on this team still. But I'm like, okay, he didn't do anything out there to say, oh, this guy sucks or cut his ass. But there's a trust with Luke Gifford, I think. However, if you wanted me to be honest, yes, I would have took Story over Luke. Maybe I'm being a bit biased, but I would have took Story Jackson over Luke. Aaron says Devin Harper will be a special teams demon. He was a good special teams player in college, according to Dane Brugger. Brandon believes this defense will resemble 2014's. I think it'd be better, Brandon. Speaking of Brandon's, Brandon Smith has been waived. So another wide receiver gone. Yeah, I think this defense will be better than 2014's. Now, the 2014 defense was known for turnovers. I think they were 2nd in the league or 2nd in the NFC. That's it. You know, it wasn't a great run defense. If you look at the numbers, you might say, oh, hey, they were top. I think it was like they might have been top 12 in run defense, but it was ball control offense. So the yards per game weren't high. They weren't a great secondary in a sense. They weren't a great defense. I think this defense has the ability to be great. So I think it'll be better than the 2014 defense. Yeah, Gelkin on fire. That's what he do though, man. So Brandon Smith gone, Drummond's gone, Lindstrom, Story, Tafua, who else we say? And Coyle. "2014 had war daddies like Selvey and Jeremy Mincy." That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think the 2014 defense is gonna be able to fool with this defense, man. We literally went into the playoffs. What's the kid's name from? Oh, he had the dreads, the defensive tackle. It was like Coleman and somebody else. I can't remember his name. Mincy, Tyron Crawford. Nah, I think this defense is gonna be better. Whoa! Okay, so here's a big one. I think now this is a big one. Carlos Watkins, waived. Now remember, we talked about it's going to be some of these veterans going to have to get off this roster for a little bit because they vested. They may come back. I wonder if Watkins is one of those veterans. Let's keep that in mind. This is something that I'm not going to be able to talk about till tomorrow, but I'll do my due diligence. But Carlos Watkins, keep him coming, Cowboys Nation, has been waived. Man, I kind of want to work the phones right now. Y'all mind if I work the phones real quick? No, this is terrible radio. If you're listening to this and you're running it back via Apple Podcasts or Spotify or whatever, this is bad radio. But I kind of want to work the phones. I'm kind of curious. Another one. Not as shocking because we talked about the injury situation. Is this true here? Sean McEwen gets the axe. Is that true? Right. Yeah, the McEwen wasn't as much of a surprise. But Sean McEwen gets the axe. And Carlos Watkins. Again, do y'all mind real quick? I'm just trying to see something. Just trying to get some. If I wasn't on air right now, this is what I'd be doing anyway. So terrible radio. I'm so sorry, y'all. Dead air. This is awful. My bad, y'all. 1 second. Let's see, almost done. All right. Hopefully, see if I had a producer, if I had somebody in my ear, I'd just straight up tell them what to do. See if we can get XYZ on the phones. That's how they do it on the radio. But I'm a one-man band. But listen, y'all, if y'all enjoy this one-man band, like a lot of you come back every freaking morning and do because y'all the Bomb Squad. Love y'all. Go ahead and hit that like button while y'all in here. It's 500 and something y'all watching right now on YouTube. Everybody hit the like button. That helps us out. Subscribe if you are not a concurrent viewer that hasn't been here, but you're like, man, what is this guy talking about film and Dallas Cowboys cuts and everything, and you enjoy it. Go ahead, sub, man. We do this every single day, Monday through Friday, every weekday. And then during the season, we ratchet that thing up. So do me a favor, man, and hit that like button. Who had the Sean McEwen? Okay, all right, came through Mike. All right, cool. All right, man, let's jump back onto the phone lines and let's let this thing build a little bit more. James, the truck driver, what's good, James? I hope you're safe out there on the road.
Yeah, I'm good, man. Long day, it is what it is. Man, this, so Story is gone. So do you think, let me ask you a question. So you think Story played better than Gifford in the preseason?
I do. I think Story popped more in the preseason than Luke. Yeah.
I mean, so why the hell are we holding on to Gifford? If it's special teams, Story can play special teams.
Oh yeah. I can't.
I mean, if we talking about him being a fifth linebacker, Story can be a fifth linebacker.
100%.
I mean, the fifth linebacker don't get on the field that much, so that way you can groom him into being something. What are you going to groom Gifford into being?
You won't get an argument out of me. I would keep Story Jackson over Luke Gifford, but maybe there's a comfortable level, a comfort level with him. I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't have an answer for you, bro. But I would have definitely kept Story over him.
Yeah, and Lemitra, I'm sorry. I know that was your baby, but maybe we'll get him back on the practice squad. All right, I got another one.
Sure.
So Carlos Watkins. So do you think Carlos Watkins played better than Ridgeway?
Oh, 100%. This is what I'm trying to get at with this Watkins thing, which is why I said, pardon me for the bad radio. I'm actually reaching out to see if Watkins is one of these guys that, because remember, they're going to have to do gymnastics. Is he one of those, hey, man, you're a vested veteran, we're going to cut you because we need to sneak Washington on the roster. We need to sneak let's go or Ridgeway or whomever, and then we're going to put them on IR and bring you back. Remember, this is not the final 53. So these moves are expected. So I'm just trying to figure out or find out, is Watkins one of those candidates to bring back? Because I think he should be.
Right. I agree. Because if you ask me, I think Ridgeway is the bottom of the barrel. And if you ask me, if I'm cutting anybody, I'm cutting Ridgeway. I don't care if he got drafted in the 5th round. See, this is what management does. Management plays favoritism to the people that they pick in the draft. And they try to hold on to people that they pick in the draft so that they can look like they're right all the time instead of picking the person that is better.
Listen, I'm not going to argue with you about management, but before you go crazy, listen, what they're doing is kind of understood here, right? Like, okay, we drafted a Ridgeway. We see something in Ridgeway. They don't want to give up on their drafted investment after 2 months. He ain't been that bad to cut, you know what I'm saying, and get rid of. I think what they're doing is more of a finesse approach, the vested veteran situation. Hey, we're going to get rid of you now. We understand you don't got to go through waivers, and we'll bring you back, and then we'll put a Ridgeway on IR. If that's the case, I mean, in a way, that's actually smart because you don't have to expose Ridgeway. But if that's not the case, right, if they're just going to bring Ridgeway on and say, hey, Ridgeway's better than Watkins, I would disagree with that. But I think I don't think the canvas is done being painted right now from that aspect of it. So I would just kind of hold off real quick before you start burning the house down. I feel you, but I think they're going with kind of more of the finesse approach where they're doing the gymnastics. So just give it 24 hours and let's see what happens.
Right. I got one more thing, then I'm gonna let you go. With the crisis that our offensive line is in at this moment, I heard you talking about the passing game. So let's just say, with the receivers that we got, what kind of passing game are we really going to have that these cornerbacks, these good cornerbacks that we come up against, I don't see us doing any intermediate to long routes. So if we're doing short routes, don't you think that the corners are going to sit on that? And I'm not saying that everything is going to be short, but Kellen Moore is going to have to get in his bag. I don't think Kellen Moore has a bag for what he's going to have to deal with. I don't think his running game, I don't think he has a running game. He doesn't have the receivers that he had last year. So what is Kellen Moore going to come up with that is going to convince us fans that he is going to be able to navigate us through this year?
Well, we showed up.
And Sky, I'll take it off the air, bro.
Gotcha.
I appreciate you. I'll take it off the air.
All right, James. Drive safe, bro.
All right, appreciate you, man. Appreciate
yes, sir. Well, we showed some of the plays that I think he can lean on that aren't necessarily West Coast style, but I think James and Cowboys Nation, this is going to be where Mike McCarthy has to interject. If we're going to be more West Coast, he's more familiar with that style than anyone on the roster. So I think Mike is going to have to help Kellen in that instance about the counterpunch. If we're being real. He's basically asking, well, what's the counterpunch to the short stuff? What's the counterpunch to the timing-based offense? I'm not a West Coast offense expert, but I know Mike McCarthy has been in that realm for decades. So he would know how to counter that. And then you would hope that Kellen, with his more modern approach, and again, Kellen not dumb, he may be more stubborn than dumb, but with Kellen's smarts, he takes some of what Mike is saying, some of what he sees, and they find a counter to it. I mean, you'll see double moves and things like that off of it, play action. That's what usually works, play action and whatnot. But again, it is about that counter, 100%. That's why I said it's going to be tough to really see, to get a true feel until we get to that latter part of the season. Because let's be real, the Cowboys offense is going to should look different early on. What happens when teams are, all right, this is what they like to do. We got tendencies, we got numbers, we know exactly what they like to do, and they force you to counter. How does that look? Braylon Jones has also been waived, which figured Braylon Jones would be waived here. Got a plastic bag. Y'all ain't ish, man. Y'all ain't ish. Vic Damone, as we get ready to roll out. They don't need 6 backers. They've got Kirsten Bell. Yeah, I don't think they'll carry 6. Wait, it's a lie. My bad. That's a lie. Actually, I think they will, based off of the draft. I know this is crazy because that shouldn't mean you automatically make the team, but Devin Harper was a draft pick. Now, Dallas is in a bit of a tighter bind than they were last year in regards to keeping all their draft picks, because I thought last year Dan Quinn, pretty much they gave him a blank canvas and said, hey, do what you want to do. And Dallas kept all 11 of their picks, but 8 of them were on defense. So this year they're a bit of a tighter bind because the defense pretty much brought back everybody. And then you drafted more players. So, I mean, in a way, you don't need 6 because they have the situation with Curse coming down. But you did draft Devin Harper. You just did. So maybe they do roll with 6, or maybe they cut Luke. Avion Collins now gone. Another one of those where I'm honestly not surprised there. Avion Collins is gone. I mean, shoot. I said we was going to be short. We went about normal. Could we keep rolling here and just roll through these cuts? Could we keep rolling? We got Lindstrom, Story, Coyle, Drummond, Mika, Collins, Braylon, McEwen. I see some people are upset that people are like, I want his story. Relax. I think he will also clear waivers. If I was a team, I would look to grab him, and he'll be back on the practice squad too. But listen, Story Jackson definitely is a guy to keep your eye on moving forward for the future, for this linebacker spot if he comes back to this team. And yes, I would have rather had him than Gifford, but it is what it is. If he's not on this team, we're talking about the 5th or 6th linebacker, 7th linebacker anyway. So let's not freak out. All these players are going to be cut today, or you should not be freaking out. Just period. I think we brought this up yesterday when we went through the whole 53. I said there really isn't going to be somebody asked me, is there going to be a surprise cut? I mean, not really. The most surprising cut today has been Watkins. Right? I thought somebody was in on the line. CJ Richards said, still no Josh Ball. Adrian says Harper's going to take LVE's job. Huh. King Element wants me. Yo, wow. King says, stay on, Sky. We getting this news live. And Peasy said, Sky, what you doing today? You ain't doing, as my guy Voch would say, you ain't doing nothing else. You ain't doing nothing. Come on, get up off the couch. Go to school. I used to hate that guy. What you doing with your life? You ain't. Can we trade LVE? I mean, you just got depth at linebacker, getting Anthony Barr. We're going to trade it away. I mean, who are you going to get back? That's always my question on a trade. Who am I getting back? I trade him. I ain't trading for no 5th round pick. I mean, I need to get somebody that's going to help me. Other than that, hey, man, LVE's good depth. He's my number 2. I don't want him to be my number 2, but he's good depth. Adrian says 6-hour stream coming. Shit. Won't catch me on here for 6 hours. You might get me for about 15 more minutes. I'll keep the lines open for y'all as we go through the Twitter streets and see who has been cut. Oh, here we go, baby. Here we go. Hit my refresh 34 seconds ago. Cowboys have waived running back Malik Davis. I think yesterday, remember I talked myself out of that 4 running back thing? Something just ain't sit right with me. I'm like, wait, slow down. Yeah, we might want to be a running team, but you got Zeke, TP. I don't know if they're really going to do 4. Now, Malik is a guy you clearly and obviously want to bring back on the practice squad. But much like what I said yesterday, at the end of the day, we are talking about the 4th running back. We are talking about the position where I think there's a lot of guys you can grab very quick. But Malik had a good camp. There's no doubt about it. Malik had a good camp. That doesn't mean that Rico didn't have a good camp or preseason, and he's been around. And we talked about him and Bones' relationship and being on the special teams unit, having that film and that trust. So, I lean more towards Rico being that lock than I did Malik. So there we go, man. Malik Davis is the next guy to be cut. Elevance. Surprise, mother. All rise, mother.
Fries, motherfucker.
D Live said there's a lot of running backs in the league. He'll be on the practice squad. Sure. For sure. Let's see. Jay said I'm flipping Ish in my office right now. Y'all wild, man. Who? Mac Jones. Yeah, Mac, we talked about Carlos Watkins, the release. Again, I'm actually trying. I did not get any word back. I did not get word back on the Watkins thing, but I'm going to stick to it. I think Watkins is a guy, y'all, that Dallas is going to look to bring back into the fold. Frog guys, man. See, I know what I'm talking about. All rise. All right, I quit before we get the whole situation. T-Max says bet Davis clear waivers. That's the thing. Remember, we said this yesterday, not to be cliche, but every team, everybody, every year, especially Cowboys fans, he's not going to clear waivers. And I'm not just talking about Malik. I'm talking about everybody that we say is going to be released. He's not, guys. Somebody's going to clear waivers. All those dudes we're saying ain't going to clear waivers is going to clear. Somebody's going to clear waivers. Is it going to be Malik? I don't know, but somebody will, and they'll be brought back. Watkins going to get home and find his. Oh, you wow! Almost read that. You had to be on the VOD show. Just think some of our fans and creators had Collins as a starter. I'll just leave you with the look. I like Avion. Will said neither Rico or Malik outplayed each other. So if that's the case, right, Will, if Malik nor Rico outplayed each other, then I think you pretty much go with what you know, the devil you do know, as opposed to the devil you don't. And that'd be Rico. The downside to Rico would be, well, he's been a bit of an injury guy in his football career. Mel's pissed. Mel said they released Malik Davis, but Josh Ball is still on this damn team. I said he was a lock, right? I'd be shocked if he gets. I mean, I shouldn't be shocked, but here's what I would do. I don't know if y'all heard this earlier. I'd put a claim in for Kellen Deesh and then cut Josh Ball. That's what I would do. I'll put a claim in for Kellen Deesh, who's been cut, and then cut Josh Ball. I don't know. That might just be me. Might be some fantasy thinking. Speaking of fantasy, hey, y'all, before we leave, man, Underdog Fantasy, we got a few more days until I can get you boys and girls in our fantasy league. And that means you got to sign up to A to Z using A to Z promo code on Underdog Fantasy, the app or the website. It doesn't matter. I don't care. Just go on one and hit the code ATOZ. You got to do this important one. Let me shut the music up. You have to deposit. If you don't deposit, they won't register you. So you got to deposit. It doesn't matter if it's $5, $15. They match the deposit. So do so if you want to be a part of it. We're almost filled up. Shout out to Danny. Shout out to T-Mac. Shout out to Khalil. Those are the guys that I know off the top of my head. My bad if I missed you. Tom. They're all part of this thing. It's easy. It's easy. The best and easiest place to play fantasy sports. Upload your lineup. Set it. Forget it. Don't got to worry about your lineup for the rest of the season. If you don't want to play with me, that's cool. I ain't going to judge you. But you can still do fantasy football or betting. They have other things that we'll talk about next month that we'll implement in our game day live shows. But if you want to just do fantasy in general, you still can, and you can win up towards, no, I went up to, they give out up to $10 million in cash prizes. So A to Z Sports is a promo code. Hit up Underdog Fantasy, the best and easiest place to do so. What did Clarence Hill do? What did Clarence Hill do, y'all? King of. Let's see. D Live, Skies Point Davis has had injury problems as well. True. As well in college, so we'll see. But Def wanted Davis on the 53. We pouring one up for Malik. Who's trying to cut Dorrance? Nah, you don't cut Dorrance. You would try to trade him if anything. Mel says, I thought Malik was better, was the better back, but both were good. You know, it felt that way too until you added some context to it and you kind of would like just take away some of the big poppy plays that Malik, not take away, I don't want to say take away, but look at some of the big plays that Rico had too in camp and in preseason. And I said this yesterday, Mel, Rico Dowdle actually had more yards after contact than Malik Davis and broke more tackles and made more defenders miss than Malik Davis in preseason. So I think it's kind of hard to be like, yeah, he just outplayed him when the proof is in the pudding. I don't, like somebody said, I don't know if either one of those guys outplayed each other. CJ said, one more cut, then I can go. Well, who is that cut? Let's see. All right, that's cool. That gives us probably about 10, 15. I'll take it. We'll do one more cut. Cowboys are to keep Rico Dowdle as a third running back behind Zeke. Yeah, yes, Mantis. Yep, absolutely. Collins cut hurt. Really, James Ruff? Huh. I don't know that I would trip about Collins getting cut. I think you'll get him back on the roster, man. When I say the roster, I mean practice squad. I think you can get Avion. It's not Avante. It's Avion Collins on the practice squad. Mel says, is Josh Ball practice squad worthy? Sure, practice squad worthy. I don't know that he roster worthy, but he's practice squad worthy. Here's what pisses me off, y'all. If y'all don't mind me to vent a little bit. Professor O. Man, I wish I had my break. This is the day to have the breaking news. I'm going to go look this up as I vent a little bit. Here's what makes me mad. Man, Eagles are trading Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, who I actually like, cornerback, DB, whatever, or not Eagles. The Saints are trading him to the Eagles. He's entering his final year in his rookie deal, so extension talks didn't go well with New Orleans, so they made the addition. Whatever, man. I like that kid. But anyway, all right. I'm not going to get in my bag about that. Here's what bugs me about the Josh Ball thing. And I'm trying to save him because he was a 4th round pick, and maybe he can be, don't save her. She don't want to be saved. But maybe he can be saved. And I think the way to do that is get his ass off that left tackle island. Now, from a technical standpoint, his technique is terrible. We like to get on Tyler Smith coming in. I mean, this dude's technique, I don't know. He's bending over. He looks like he got a hunchback. I don't think he sits well. I don't have a problem with his hands. I don't think he fights great, but I don't have a problem with his hand sets. I don't know if he's all up there from an IQ standpoint just quite yet, which, again, he's young. It is what it is. But when you move him to the right, he just looked more confident. I played basketball, and just as much as I love football, I love basketball too, and definitely as a kid. And I used to read books and look quotes and all that. And it was this one quote, and I can't paraphrase, or I'm not going to verbatim, but it's more of a paraphrase from Reggie Miller. And Reggie Miller, they asked me, man, how did you become such a great shooter? He said, man, when I was a kid, I just would envision the ball going in all the time. I know that sounds crazy, but that's what he said. Even when I missed, I envisioned it going in, and that helped me build my confidence. And when I got my confidence, I just felt like I could make any shot from anywhere. I say all that to say, confidence matters. It matters at cornerback. We talked about it a lot with AB. His confidence used to get down, and he played that way. And when he stopped doing that, he played better. And I talk about it a lot with how I see some of these other guys set and play in their technique and just play in general. And I just think Josh Ball's confidence is lacking on that left side for whatever reason. From the right side, I don't have enough data. He didn't play enough in camp over there, and he didn't play enough in preseason. But from what I saw, the little bit I did see against the Seahawks, looked more confident. So what I'm getting at is, could this be like a Doug Free situation? And listen, I'm not trying to knock Doug Free, because Doug Free ain't Josh Ball. But what I mean is, Doug Free, when Colombo and those boys left, they said, oh, we're going to give Doug Free a shot on the left side. Oh, we're not going to give Doug Free a shot no more on the left side because we drafted Tyron Smith. And he played right the first year to get acclimated, then moved to the left, and then moved Doug Free to the right. And Doug Free became more of a stalwart and more dependable guy. Was he ever a Pro Bowler? No. But he was more of a dependable dude on the right side. And when Doug Free is your number one offensive lineman, you're in trouble. When he's your fifth, you're fine. So I wonder if Josh Ball can be saved by just completely doing away with this swing tackle crap, doing away with him being a left tackle, and just, hey, just keep your ass on the right side. Problem is, we ain't seen it because they don't want to, be proactive. They want to be reactive to the situation. So, kind of my rant on it. I would have liked to see Josh. I would have loved to see, we talk about this lineup. Tyler at left, Josh at right, Connor McGovern, Tyler Biadasz, Matt Fournier. Let's see it. Let's give it a go. Give it a quarter in the preseason. You might have had a more confident Josh Ball. I digress. Am I making sense, Cowboys Nation? Oh, you gonna make me throw up, Mel? Cause he is doing some good things. He said Howie is killing it. We should go to the games and chant "We won the GM." I don't like saying good things about Philly. It just it's hard to do it. But I ain't mad at what they've done. Can we talk about something else? Y'all said the next cut. Who got cut so I can get out of here? We freestyling right now. We in overtime. I'm looking for who else got cut. Not seeing anyone else. I mean, Gelkin confirmed the Koya one, but the Koya one came out earlier. Yeah, I ain't even talking about them. Yeah, Dwight. Yeah. Said Mel, the Eagles are a joke. You know what? You're right. Let's leave it at that. D-Live, yeah, Free was trash at left tackle, but he was good at right. Again, am I making sense? And anybody even listen to that whole spiel I just gave on Doug Free? Am I making any sense? Or are y'all arguing about these damn Eagles that I hate? Ted said, or Terrence Steele at left tackle, Tyler Smith at guard, McGovern center, Fournette at guard, ball right. No, I mean, wait a minute, slow down. So what I meant by moving ball to the right side, I didn't mean as a starter. No. I just meant as a backup guy as he continues to develop. That's what I meant. I definitely don't want that to be the starting lineup. If I'm going to move Terrence to the left, like we talked about, in my scenario, I wanted to put Zach out there at right tackle or go get you a tackle in free agency. I still wanted to shore up that starting lineup while developing depth behind it. So if I'm gonna do that, I would love to kick Zach out. I know he doesn't want to, but I think that's better. I do like Fournette. I would love to see Fournette get a shot or whatever. James says no GM equals no success. Bedroom door hoops don't count. Nah, man, I was a hooper, man. I wasn't. Shout out to East High. Oh, man, I was a hooper. Now, I didn't go on to college and play. I just did the intramural stuff in college. Quick story about I might have told y'all this story. Somebody said something else. Ghostface says you can hoop. Listen, I'm not going to pretend to be a hooper now. I think I told y'all this before. I'm more the one where I'm jogging out. I'm at the 3-point line because now my J's crazy now. Yeah, I'm not doing nothing extra no more when I'm running. But back then, yeah, I was doing all the crazy stuff. But in intramurals, they know they do the leagues. They give out the championships and all that. Listen, our team, we get all the way to the finals. And we're playing basically the football squad or the guys who ain't really make it on the football team. You know how the football players do. They like to play basketball too. And they play it like they play football. But we get to the finals and the star quarterback of the football team, I don't know what was going on with, I don't know if it was end of the season, end of whatever. He just ups and decides, hey, yeah, I'm going to play on the team. I had no idea who the dude was. I think it was like my freshman or sophomore year. I think it was my freshman year. Definitely was my freshman year. Come to find out, this man was Mr. Football, Mr. Basketball, Mr. Everything of Ohio. He comes in and drops like 50 on our heads and just completely blows us out. I mean, the dude was like 6'5". I don't know what Trevor, I forget his last name. I think it was Trevor. Look up Edinburgh. He did play for the Jaguars for a very, very small time. I think he's doing well in the Canadian Football League. But I mean, he was ridiculous, man. I'm like, y'all cheating. I'm a little upset. That was my time. You know what I mean? And he came in there and just shut us all down. But that's my little intramural story. This guy was like Bill Laimbeer, just punched him in the paint. Listen, man. Who was I talking to? I think I was talking to Vach. I was like, listen, when you're short, you got to do one or two things as a short point guard. You got to play defense. You got to be able to shoot. You also got to be able to lead. I think I did those three things very successfully. Jacking up. You know what, Lemitra? I got my punch button. Oh damn. Hey, Dontel, you in the building? Now listen, Dontel, you ain't got no rope. Carlton from Fresh Prince. Special K says, nah, Sky, you gotta play defense, fam. Nah, man, I'm done. I think I told y'all this before. What made me realize, I'm not gonna tell y'all my age, but at that point in my time where it was like, oh, this is over. When we were at LA Fitness, and you know the high school kids come in to play. I didn't know they was high school kids. And these dudes is big and tall and athletic and whatever. And you know, we hooping and we balling, and I didn't stretch, so I was stupid because I messed my hamstrings up. But after it was all said and done, I was like, hey man, you know, what school do you go to? And I think the kid said Lower Dauphin High School. I wanted to hit him. Excuse me, sir, you're in high school? I hate y'all. What did y'all eat? I needed that. God damn it. Sky played when they had high shorts. Yo, y'all crazy, man. All right, is we done? Did my lady come in here? What'd she say? We in overtime. Oh, now, why you lying? No, my lady played. She's played too. She gonna say, but tell them who wins when we play. Now see, don't come in here lying. Don't come in here lying now. We do the love and basketball thing. Yes, T-Hawk, I am from Pennsylvania. I'm from Harrisburg, where Micah is, which I always show my bias towards Micah because we're from the same area. But he also is just an amazing player in person, too. But yeah, I'm from Harrisburg. By the way, that shirt I had on yesterday, Major Prep, Brian Majors, look him up. Big time everything in Harrisburg. Legend. Probably me personally, the best point guard I ever played against in Harrisburg. Absolute beast defensively, beast with the ball. He trains and everything now. But yeah, man, B-Mage. Curtis Blow. All right, man. Let's get up out of here. Before we get up out of here, hit that like button if y'all enjoyed today's show, if you had a good time, if we learned some things. Run it back if you want to watch it and you just kind of came in at the end. Or if you want to listen to the audio portion of it, it will be up. I know I got to start doing better with that. The audio portion is available on Spotify, on Google, on Apple, all that stuff for our podcast version of it. I don't know if I should be saying this at this moment because I don't know what we're quite doing, but I'll kind of jump ahead into the season. You know, Jesse's going to be involved with us again. Shout out to my bro, Jesse Holly, former Cowboys wide receiver, is going to be involved for Game Day Lives. What we're also planning on doing is about 10, 15 minute brief podcast every week as well. That will be available on Spotify. And I probably will drop little clips of it here on YouTube. So you got that to look forward to as well. Jesse Holly and myself will be doing some type of, I'm not sure we're going to call it just yet, but we're going to do a little podcast, man. So it'll be cool. The Sky, yo, that shit's good. The Sky Hook came from Sky. Wow. I like it. Yo, I'm leaving. Y'all ain't shit. The Sky was the original and one mixtape. Yo, I'm leaving. I don't like this. I'm out of here. I'll see y'all later on the volume 306-ish with the 3-ish Mafia. I love y'all to death, but y'all ain't shit right now, man. Y'all really ain't. Let me hit this button. Y'all really got me in tears, though. Hilarious. Y'all let me know who else get cut, man. Tag me on Twitter at Skywalker Still. Make sure you follow us. Shout out to our sponsors, the Cochran Firm out of Dallas, Fort Worth, and Houston. And of course, Underdog Fantasy, use the promo code ATOZ and be involved with what we're doing. Y'all get on my damn nerves, but I love y'all to death. We out here. Peace. Did not beat me. Do not let her lie to you. I would never